Welcome, everyone. I'm going to call this meeting to order at 4 p.m. Adoption of the agenda.
That West Elgin Council hereby adopts the regular council agenda for October 23rd, 2025 as presented.
A mover, please. Councillor Denning, seconded. Councillor Sousa, all in favour? That's carried. Disclosure of any pecuniary interest or general nature thereof. Seeing none, we go straight to 4. Presentation. Christine Scrimshaw, 2024 draft financials. Draft consolidated financial statements year ending 2024. Welcome.
Thank you. All right, I'll go through the financial statements. I believe you all have copies, as I usually do. Please don't hesitate to stop me and ask me any questions. If anything I say brings up more questions or just the general questions from yourselves. So these, as was mentioned by the mayor, are consolidated financial statements for the year ended December 31st, 2024. When it says consolidated, it means it also includes not just the municipalities transactions, also the Port Glasgow Yacht Club's transactions, because they are operating on your land, and as well your percentage ownership of Tri-County water system. And so that's what the consolidation refers to. Once these financial statements are approved by council, then they will be formatted into the FIR, which is we do to the province of Ontario on your behalf. And as was mentioned, there's also trust fund statements in your financial statement package, which I'll comment on as well. So going through, so the first page is our independent auditor's report. This is what's called a clean opinion, which means that we didn't find anything materially incorrect. Materiality is set based on a percentage of your revenues, and for your municipality, it's $180,000. However, that doesn't mean we just look at transactions over that amount. We statistically sample into all of your payroll, your different sources of revenue, as well as your purchases, and test those, and we did not find any issues, and so that's why it is an unqualified opinion. Dated as of today's date, which under Canadian auditing standards is required for those charged with governance, which should obviously be this council, to approve them. And so hopefully today, this will be the date that they are approved. Moving forward to the numbers now, and I'll just, again, I highlight at a high level, but again, please don't hesitate to ask me any specific questions. So when I look at a balance sheet such as yours, the first thing I look at is that line called net financial assets. So that would be the amount of money you would have in the bank if everybody paid you what they owed you and you paid off all of your liabilities. And obviously that never happens at any point in time, but this would be what would be left in the bank. So I'm always looking to make sure that that stays stable or increases. And as you can see, it's almost identical number as the previous year. So stability there with regards to that. I then look at your non-financial assets. So these are the assets you have to have in place in order to provide the services you do: roads, water, sewer, buildings, things like that. And so I'm looking to make sure that you're investing in your tangible capital assets at least equal to the amount of your amortization. Your amortization is the using up of those assets. And so your amortization for this year was 1.8 million. And in fact, if you add the tangible capital assets plus the capital work in progress, which just refers to projects that have started, not yet completed, main one at the end of 2024 would be the Rodney Sewer Project. If you add those two together, you've actually increased your overall net book value of your capital assets by about $2 million, which so we're reinvesting, or sorry, 200,000. You're reinvesting in your capital assets at least equal to your amortization. So that's the next indicator I look at. Couple other numbers that stick out as being different this year, I'll comment on. One is the taxes receivable. There's an increase this year. I'm seeing that. I do 11 municipalities. I'm seeing that across the board, or 11 other municipalities. I see that across the board this past year just because people are back to work after COVID, and obviously inflation has been increasing over this last year. And so people are sort of leaving their property taxes to be paid as opposed to putting food on the table instead of paying off some of the other bills. And so We are looking at the three, so after three, actually, it's after 2 years. In the third year, you then are allowed to start tax sale proceedings, which really is just a process to remind the ratepayers that their properties could come up for tax sale if they don't get on top of the old taxes that are owing on it. The other large number, the change that happened on this statement is the asset retirement obligation. And I know council is familiar with the increased projections for closing out the landfill site. So these are costs that will have to be paid out over the future years to both close it out and then monitor it for the years required after the closure. And so that's all. And so coming down to accumulated surplus at the end of the year, and we'll see some details of that in note 4, but of 54 million, just again, about a $200,000 increase from previous years, which again, you're holding at that level. Any questions on that particular statement at all? Do I just go through to you?
Okay,
Chair.
yes.
Thank you very much.
Councillor Statham, carry on, please.
Thank you. Through you, Your Excellency. I just wondered, with regards to the landfill, do we have the engineering and environmental reports to support that $1.2 million increase in the liability for the landfill closure?
I'll let your infrastructure development, but yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Through you, Mayor.
Yeah.
Our consultant Lumetrics have helped us provide the costing for our closure and laid out a worst case scenario. So in case we had this come up, we were prepared to pay for it. So.
Thank you very much. So just to clarify, we do have engineering and environmental reports that support that increase.
Yes, correct. Through Blue Metrics. Yeah.
Thank you.
Further questions? Seeing none. Bit of the recommendation for the.
Sorry, I'll continue on the income statement. I'll just do this. That's okay with you?
She's gonna finish it with
Pardon? Okay.
All right, so the next statement is your consolidated operations and accumulated surplus. So these are your revenues and expenditures. The first column is the budget as approved by this council. The actual, and I'll remind you that the actual includes your percentage pickup of the Tri-County system, which is a separate entity onto itself, as well as the Port Glasgow Yacht Club, and then the comparatives for 2023, which would also include those two things. So just so you wonder why our revenue and expenditures are over what our budget is, those two things reflect that. But I will comment on a couple things. So the user charges is that pickup of your Tri-County, obviously the bills that go out for the various users of that system, as well as Port Glasgow fees. And so that's really the main increase there. Investment income, again, consistent with the prior year. The budget does not include the interest earned on the reserve funds, which are your water and wastewater reserve funds, because they are separate entities, and that money just gets transferred over to those reserves, so it doesn't affect the operating surplus. So overall, fairly consistent to 2023's actuals. And then expenditures, so remind council that in the actual 2024 expenditures is that amortization of 1.8 million. So the council can be assured that we didn't overspend by that difference between the budgeted expenditures and the actual expenditures. And then as well, that pickup of those items that I keep mentioning. So overall, what I look at is that excess of revenue over expenditures line. So that last year was 705,000. This year it's 864,000. So what that means is that your general operations, the revenue that is coming in is covering your expenditures plus the amortization and still coming with excess funds that get transferred over to the reserve. And we'll see that in a couple minutes. So again, consistent up about 150,000 from the previous year. Everything below that line are specific to capital or other projects that you obviously don't have consistent from year to year. So your capital projects obviously would change. The budget for the government transfers is the full budget for that Rodney Sewer. However, that project is not complete, as I mentioned on the balance sheet. So we only accrue the grant to the point that we've earned it. And then there's where we see that large increase in the asset retirement obligation that we talked about. Coming down to that accumulated surplus at the end of the year, equal to the balance sheet.
Okay. Further questions? Seeing none?
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Continue on to the statement of cash flows. This is the increases and decreases of the non-cash items on the balance sheet. And again, I've gone through most of the large ones. Here's where you really see, if we go to the next statement, which is the net asset change, which is really a snapshot of what's gone on with capital. Again, I keep harping on this, but we see that the amortization of the capital assets is 1.8 million. And then the acquisition of the tangible capital assets, new ones, is the net of the 2.9 minus the 736,000. So that increase that I've been talking about, you're reinvesting in your capital at least equal to that amortization value. And as we go forward, that's obviously something that most municipalities are struggling with as we try to replace assets at current dollar values as opposed to what they were originally bought at and historic costs. So you think what a water system, what a sewer underground system costs in today's dollars as opposed to what it would have cost when we originally put some of those assets in place, and it's significant. The one new culvert this year, number 6, that was capitalized this year, was a large expenditure that basically what was in there at historical cost was virtually nothing because we acquired it years ago from the county. So again, just making comment that we want to keep reinvesting in capital at least equal to amortization, but hopefully more than that, just to replace that current value. Then we get to the notes to the financial statements. I'm not going to go through each one of them. There's notes that you would see in all municipal financial statements. I do want to draw council's attention to a couple notes. One is note number 8. And so these are the long-term liabilities. So the debt that you as a municipality owe, and all of your debt at currently as of the end of 2024 is ratepayer paid, which means that the ratepayers give us the money through their tax bills, either for water hookups or for municipal drain, their portion of a municipal drain. And we then pay out those debentures. And so currently, as of the end of 2024, you have no municipal debt that's hitting the tax rate. So that's significant. That's not, I don't see that a whole lot. And so obviously you have room to issue debt if you need to. And that's what note number B says. It just says recovered from ratepayers, meaning it's not coming from your tax rate. And then note number 9 is the other note that I'm always want to highlight. It is your accumulated surplus breakdown. And so I'll just go through these numbers because I think it's important. So the reduction of user charges, that is the surplus of the Port Glasgow Yacht Club. So that's what that number is. The asset retirement obligation we've talked about. And then your investment in tangible capital assets, you can see there that rounding it to around 200,000. That's what's sitting there. And then we get to your reserves and reserve funds. So the next sort of indicator I'm always looking at is, okay, so we've reinvested in capital, we've kept our debt low. What have we done to our reserves? Have we depleted those? And we haven't. You can see that they've both increased. The reserve funds are not really ones that council has authority over as far as what they can be spent on outside of the fact that it's water and wastewater. The reserves are your reserves that are used for your current purposes. And capital, sorry, current and capital purposes, but not water, wastewater. So the reserve funds are water, wastewater, the reserves are not. And so you can see there's about a $560,000 increase on your reserves as well. So all of those are indicators that you're on the right track. Again, as I keep harping on, capital just is getting more and more expensive, and the replacement of that becomes onerous on a municipality for sure. There's a couple notes at the back that or one note actually, sorry, that I put on this year, just that you did pass the development charges. So your financial statements are supposed to talk to the users about any kind of new policies or anything different that the municipality has embarked on. You've embarked on development charges, which is a significant going forward. And so I've just mentioned that in the note number 15, which is the significant event note. The last two schedules at the back are a breakdown. The first one is a breakdown of your capital assets by component. And as you can imagine, public works and environmental services is about 70% of your total assets if you pull them out of the other categories, being land, equipment, buildings. And then at the back is the last schedule. This is the schedule that is a segue between your financial statements, these external financial statements, and the FIR that gets processed to the province, because it is all done by what's called functions. And these are the functions that the province looks for of breakdown of your revenues and expenditures. And so this just really is a segue between those two documents. As mentioned, you also have a statement for the trust funds. You have two funds now. Those of you who have been around a long time, it used to always just be the Schleihoff. Am I saying that right? Yes?
I think so.
Yes, thank you. I practice that before I come in. And it's that $1,000 that's been around forever. And then on top of that, 2 years ago, we took over that cemetery trust fund. And there was an expenditure out of it, which is shown in those financial statements, to do some paving at the cemetery. And those are my comments. I will comment too as we move forward. And I've been in conversation with your CAO, just making sure that we have internal controls in place as we're looking for a new treasurer, just making sure those approval processes are being done to keep our internal controls as strong as possible.
Further questions from anyone? Seeing none?
The recommend,
Oops.
oh, sorry, Councillor Statham has a.
Yeah. Councillor Statham.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor, I just want to be clear. We had 3 items. Was that the?
So the other item is just a copy of the Justin Journal entries that we made for the year.
Okay, so I did have a couple questions. Let me just pull them up here. I just wasn't sure if we were.
I have to do this by memory. I think I can do it.
What have we done with 3 and 1?
Okay, I'll get back to you.
She's gone through.
So there was 3 points in the agenda.
Letter of rep. There's a
Yeah.
letter of rep
We've
as
gone
well.
through that one.
Yeah, but we didn't.
And then you briefly touched on the draft.
Yeah.
I separated them into.
Yep, that's
3.
fine.
Yep. Are you gonna go through the draft trust document?
That I just
That-
did
okay,
with
that was
a
the only
comment
one?
about the
Yep.
cemetery. That's really the only
So
major.
which one
thing.
did you have a question on?
The letter of
Councillor
rep,
Statham?
probably. Is that?
Well, I had a couple questions that. I guess my first one was we had a $73,000 transfer to the tax rate stabilization reserve. I just wanted to confirm.
That was your operating surplus.
Right, so our operating surplus is, my concern is that if we're transferring $73,000 to our tax rate stabilization, is that our operating surplus is adequate going forward for sustainability, or I just want to make sure that we're not transferring that out of our operating surplus into a tax rate stabilization fund if our operating surplus is not sufficient.
So in a municipality, there is really no operating surplus. All your reserves are your operating surplus. So that's why we move it over like that. What the $73,000 tells me is that you basically on a budget of, $12 million, that's basically a break-even point. So you want to see, and that's what a municipal act says, that you as a municipality are supposed to do is basically raise and spend what your budget is. And so to me, that tells me you've done that in the 20, and so you don't really have what we call an operating surplus in a municipality. You have these reserves that you allocate out your operating surpluses over the years to various areas that you spend money in. And this has been this municipality's policy, and we've talked to the CAO and I about getting a reserve policy in place. But right now, that's what you've always done, any surplus or deficit. So if you had it, if the deficit was 70, we would take it out of the tax rate stabilization. So it's that tax rate stabilization, since we went from, this is going to go back a long time, but when we went from mill rates to tax rates, that was kind of the province's, this is what we should be doing because of the ups and downs of market value assessments and things like that, using a reserve to put your savings from operating surpluses in.
Okay, I guess the question, I just wanted to make sure that we're not skimping on operating costs to put money into a tax rate stabilization fund. I just want to make sure that was on board. Okay, so that makes sense.
May I just add one more thing? So when you budget something out of your operating fund, but you don't get it done, let's say you budget an OP plan or some sort of consultant plan or something that you don't get around to getting done. There's a project to be a deferred project reserve as well, where we put, if you raised any money on the tax rate stable, or on the tax rates, you would put it over to there and then pull it out the next year when you actually get that project done. So that's also, I always check that kind of thing because I don't want to see, obviously, the tax rate get charged for the same item 2 years in a row.
Perfect. Yeah, no, I understand. I guess just to reiterate, I wanted to make sure that we're not pulling $73,000 out of our operating budget when we could have spent that money on, you know, things that were needed, and we're putting it in a tax rate stabilization file. I think you answered my question. so
Okay.
Thank you. My next question was, I noticed that there was an audit accrual adjustment for $5,000 for additional time required. So I just wondered what that was, $5,000 under the audit accrual adjustment.
Unfortunately, there wasn't a treasurer here for most of when I was finishing up the audit, so we had to do a fair bit of the work and walk through your staff on some of the things that needed to be.
That's
Done.
fair. That's fair. Thank you. Landfill accretion expense, there was $10,000 that went in and out and in and out. It was $10,000 in.
It was posted wrong, so I had to correct the posting.
Okay, so that was just a correction. That's great.
And that was, sorry, that was the fourth, last year we accrued 400,000, and that was basically a 2.5% increase, like a cost of inflation increase on that original accrual, and then we got the new report and we had to increase it significantly.
Okay. Okay, fair enough.
Happy I can remember these.
And I'm glad you can too. I have notes right in front of me, so. The last question I had was just with respect to the Tri-County water consolidation and elimination of entries. Some of those were significant amounts, up to $6 million. I just want to make sure, because that could affect West Elgin and it could also affect our partnering municipalities. I just want to make sure that those are accurate.
Yeah, so all we do is, I'm the auditor for Tri-County, so we get those financial statements approved first, which we always have to get done. And then all that entry is doing is reversing out the portion that doesn't belong to West Elgin. So it belongs to the other participating municipalities. And so we only show West Elgin's share of that system.
Excellent. Okay, thank you. I think that's all I have. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Any further questions? Recommendation? Please.
So the first recommendation is that West Elgin Council hereby approve the 2024 draft consolidated financial statements as presented by Christine Scrimgore and Company, CPA Professional Corporation as presented.
Move it, please. Deputy Mayor Tellier, seconded. Councillor Denny, all in favour? That's carried. And now what? We go to the draft trust funds?
Yep, you've got nothing else to touch on that? Perfect. The recommendation is that West Elgin Council hereby approve the 2024 draft trust account statements as presented by Christine Scrimgore and Company, CPA Professional Corporation as presented.
Okay, I'll move her on that one, please. Deputy Mayor Tellier, seconded. Councillor Statham, all in favour? It's carried, thank you. And then we go to 4.3, adjusting journal entries. Year ending
Anything else?
2024.
Yeah, they get signed, so you really don't need to make a motion, but it's fine if you do.
I have one ready, but.
There you go, go for it. What you're basically doing then is authorizing whoever signs it to be signing it, so that's perfect.
The recommendation is that West Elgin Council hereby receive the adjusting journal entries for year end 2024 as presented by Christine Scrimgore and Company, Professional, CPA Professional Corporation as presented.
Move it, please. Councillor Denning, seconded. Councillor Sousa, all in favour? That's carried. Thank you very much.
Thank you. It's nice to see you all. If any other questions come up, please don't hesitate. Reach out to me.
Okay, yeah, thank you. We're going to move over to, we're going to go to delegations, which is Dan Seuss, Elgin ATV Club update. Welcome, Dan.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council, for letting me talk today. I got a couple things here I just pass along here. Just kind of some stuff that pertains to OFATV. At least you guys can kind of see. Okay, I'm here today to ask for a letter of support from the council for the Elgin ATV Club. We're actually currently working with Integris Power Company to acquire the rail bed between McPherson Road in the West Elgin's west end to Lyle Road and Blind Line in Southold. I'm actually gonna go to each of the councils and ask for the same exact thing. We've been in discussing with Integris upper management since May. We've had several meetings with them. Currently, it's due to a liability standpoint, which I know the municipality can quite understand my liability. We are the first group of non-for-profit group that has approached them with liability insurance. We actually hold $15 million liability per occurrence for the landowner. That can be for a landowner, for a municipality, for a private landowner as well. We can put trails on private property, basically. Earlier this month, I got a letter of support from MPP Rob Flack and also from MP Andrew Lawton. I think I forwarded those through Councillor Sousa so that everybody could see. In that same email, you'd see that Elgin ATV Club got there was a certification of club in good standing. Every ATV club in Ontario, in that one of those pamphlets is all the ATV clubs from Ontario. There's 24, so it's the one that says Ride More Clubs. That lists out all ATV clubs in Ontario with their logo and their location. Once we've put in our financials, our updated bylaws and all information, and we pay our portion of our club insurance, they give us that certification. The vision that we have for this corridor will be a multi-use trail. But it'll be limited to ATVs and people that can walk and be on bicycles. Off-road motorcycles will not be allowed, and neither will what it would look like an Argo or an XTV. Those have different rules within the province than what ATVs do. We work with OPP and M&R. We've actually, in fact, made a pamphlet about ATVing with OPP. I only have one copy of it here, if somebody wants to see it. We do have our own group of wardens. I meant to bring I forgot to grab it. I set it down and forgot to pick it up. We have a group of wardens. If you see our wardens out on a trail or out riding, it will say trail warden on their back. It is a reflective vest, and it'll have basically the same green, but in a patch on the front, OFATV, but not trail, obviously. By supporting this initiative, we want to create a safe riding atmosphere and a managed trail corridor. We also have a trail that is on Queen's Line between Graham and Dunborough. And we're also working on a trail in Dunwich. And we also have a live trail in New Sarum, just north of New Sarum. Currently, it's 4.2 kilometers of trail. It's going to be 10 kilometers of trail on a private property. This initiative will bring a lot of tourism to Elgin County, not just Elgin County alone, but West Elgin. I did send along a link to the National Power Sports Trail Report of 2025. It states that Canada has 124,000 kilometers of off-road trails. In Ontario alone, OFATV, if you were to look on that Quad On app, that's the little white page. If you were to download that app that's on there, all 10,000 kilometers of managed trail is active on that map. Once an ATV rider buys their pass for OFATV, they have full access to all those trails. These trails are a critical part of local economies, particularly up north, North Bay, Kawartha Lakes, and that's how a lot of people actually travel to and from their cabins. as an economic standpoint, $10.3 billion of money is spent in Canada on ATVing. This includes equipment purchases, tourism, hospitality, and other local services such as restaurants and gas and parts and all that type of thing. So we are an affiliated member of OFATV, so the Ontario Federation of ATV Clubs. Like I said before, there's 24 clubs. We have 17,000 members. Each member pays a trail fee of, it was $150 per year. This year it's gone up to $175. You can kind of start to put the numbers together. We have quite a bit of money throughout the whole organization. Each club is its own entity, so we are actually a non-for-profit and we are registered. So one thing I wanted to mention was the legal part of ATVing. I know that's always the question everybody asks. ATVs are mandated by regulation 316-03 for Ontario. So roads with a speed limit of 80 kilometers an hour, the ATV must drive 50 kilometers per hour on the non-driving portion of the road. So that would be the shoulder. If the non-driving portion of the road is impeded, the ATV is legally allowed to drive on the paved part of the road. On roads with a speed of 50 kilometers or lower, ATVs must travel 20 kilometers an hour. Same exact rule applies. If the side of the road is impeded, they can drive on the main road. So coming past Tim Hortons, clearly can't drive on the non-driving portion of the road because there's always cars parked in front of Home Hardware. You can pull up to the stop sign, you can go through the stop sign. That's 100% legal. The rider must wear a helmet. And if the ATV is equipped with seat belts, they have to have seat belts, even if it's an enclosed cabin. Because it doesn't go by a DOT standard, the ATV helmet goes by the DOT standard. You are permitted riders if the ATV is designed for riders. And it must be insured and licensed. OFATV, when we buy our passes, checks for all that information. And then there is another Ontario regulation, which is Ontario Regulation 8-03. This is established under the Open Ontario Act, in 2021, where Doug Ford had put the Open Ontario part into it. Originally, this was from 2003. So this one, if the municipality's name is listed on the list, there are no bylaws against ATVing. All municipalities in Elgin County are listed. One municipality locally is not listed, and that's Southwest Middlesex. They're pretty much the only ones that I can find that aren't listed. So that regulation states that no matter what, we can ride in all the municipalities of Elgin County. Okay, sorry, so the ATV club operates much like any other service club. We're all volunteers. I'm the president. And we have a vice president. I'm also the treasurer and secretary because nobody wants that position yet. And I'm the social media guy, and I'm the guy that does everything to get it going. We work with OPP and M&R. We did a ATV run. They were at Councillor Statham's house, the OPP and the M&R, for that ATV run. We work with Lower Thames Conservation Authority. We had a property that was given to us to use, and I found out it was protected wetlands. I talked to them and they said, yeah, you can't use that. But they gave me a full map of everything they have. So we try to do that, make sure that we're following all the rules. And then we do have a full signage program to ensure that we stay in compliance with MTO. So if the municipality is willing, we would love to have a letter of support. I think that this is the biggest tourism thing that has hit this area in a long time. I don't know if anybody else has noticed how many more ATVs are out on the roads lately. Yes, they are still using the trail that Integris owns. No, our club does not condone driving on the trail that Integris owns. We don't condone driving on anything that is trespassing. Our members are instructed not to trespass. They actually sign a code of conduct. So we were hoping that if we can get this letter of support, it can accompany the MPP and the MP's letters to Integris. We can try to bring something that's really good to this area, and a lot of the funds that we do get, it's a mandate by OFATV to give back to the community. So supporting such as like the park or Kiwanis Club or any of those, we try to support those clubs.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah.
I've got to,
Yeah.
but anyway, you're after a letter of support, but surely to get a letter of support, we'd need to know where the trails are.
That's what we're trying to get. If we don't have the letter of support, we won't get the trail that is gonna be key.
Well, it's one without the other, because if you get a letter of support, and then where you putting your trails?
On the corridor of the rail bed. That whole corridor is going to be the trail.
I mean, you're not going up and down gravel roads and things like that?
We can go on any municipal road. And that's what our club does currently.
Okay, I just wanted to know where your main trail is going to be. That was.
Yeah, so that would be the corridor on
If-
on the rail bed is what we're trying to acquire right now. We have a lot of irons in the fire with different farmlands. We've got about 120 acres kind of up in the air in Dunwich. We've got a few farmlands here in West Elgin that I've gone through and made sure they're not wetlands. Of course, everybody's got nowhere for you to drive to that bush right now because the crops are still up.
Yeah.
So until the crops are off, we don't have a trail, unfortunately. We do know that club members have property that they were willing to give us.
Okay, thanks. Further questions? Councillor Statham.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and through you, not so much a question, more of a comment, and to clarify. So I think if I understand correctly, Dan, the letter of support is to assist with acquiring access to the rail bed through Integris. Is that
Right.
correct? Yeah.
Just to show that the municipality supports ATVing.
Okay, well, I would be happy to, I think that's a great idea. My opinion would be, that would be something that we should do, is provide that letter of support, so.
Once we do acquire that, I know there's a lot of issues with Furnival Road, for instance, where they cross. We know that issue exists with gravel being sprayed on the road. We have money to pour cement, dig that out, excavate it, pour cement, make a buffer so that when the gravel does get sprayed, it stays on the cement. And we're not looking to, we're looking to work with municipalities. We don't want to work against. We want to make everything, putting stop signs up. Kerr Road's a very dangerous section right now. I don't know how many times you've been past on Kerr Road and ATVs fly out of there. They can't tell that Kerr Road's there. So that would be a spot where, stop sign ahead, there's stop signs, there's speed limits on trails, there's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you will have some control over
And working
the
with,
multitude, shall I say?
yeah, so we have 60 to 70 members currently on Elgin ATV. And then anybody from Ontario can come and use that, right? So you're gonna get a lot of people from Northern Ontario in the wintertime because they use snowmobile trails. You can't use the snowmobile trail and the ATV trail at the same time. So that's where the tourism will come down here in the summertime, or in the wintertime, a lot of the wintertime, summer, people are there. Wintertime, they'll more than likely come down here. But it's self-policed because we have our own wardens. Each club has their own warden service. So I think we have 25 wardens on our club, something like that.
Okay, thank you. Yes, Deputy Mayor Tellier.
Thank you, and through your worship, yeah, thank you for your delegation today. I just had a question about the education the wardens are receiving, um, and how they police this, other than how do they regulate people? People can be difficult to deal with, especially if they're out having a good time and think that you're, keeping them from that good time.
Yeah, so we have through the warden service, we have OFATV has a training course. We don't only train for wardens too. One of the handouts, and hopefully somebody grabbed one for you, Teresa, as well, is about ATVing safety with kids. And then there's also so the wardens go by a strictly by an educational purpose. They don't do any. We have no legal right to do anything. But we work with OPP and M&R, and they have the legal right to trespass. So once we put that insurance that we have the $15 million on that property, it basically gives us a landowner, it's called a landowner use agreement is what we call it with OFATV. At that point in time, our warden service has the right to go on there. We can stop people and check their trail permits. The trail permit is always on every ATV that's bought one, left-hand front side of the ATV. It has a barcode. They can call me specifically, the wardens. The wardens also have access to the full online portal. I can see all 17,000 permits that were purchased, know exactly where you live, everything. I can just look at your license plate and type your license plate in, and if I know that you have a pass, I know what your pass number is. So we can cross-reference it, and we just pass that information on to M&R or OPP, and that it self-polices itself over time. It takes a little bit. It's going to be growing pains. The dirt bikes are going to be the biggest problem we'll have with. There is a club out there that does dirt bikes. I've approached them and said, why don't you come with us and work together? That would actually put $30 million liability on that rail bed. But that would be their own, they have to do all their own footwork. I'm not doing that for them.
Okay, thank you. Yes, go on.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just again, I apologize. Just one more comment. I think this is a great way to take something that's currently happening. It's already happening. We have ATVs that are on the rail bed consistently that drive right past my house. We have ATVs crossing municipal roadways. I think this is a great way to take something that's already occurring and regulate it in a way that increases the safety, it increases how people are utilizing those trails, and it gives us a little bit of oversight through the ATV club to make sure that it's being done correctly and safely and respecting landowners. I don't see a downside personally. So thank you, Dan. I appreciate it. I think it's a great initiative.
Thank you for your delegation.
Thank you.
Okay. Carry on. Okay, so we're going to go to 6, which is the adoption of the minutes.
That West Elgin Council hereby adopt the minutes of October 9th, 2025 as presented.
Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Statham, seconded. Councillor Sousa, all in favour? That's carried. And we go to Elgin OPP Detachment Board minutes.
The recommendation is that West Elgin Council hereby receive and file the Elgin OPP Detachment Board minutes of June 25th and September 16th, 2025.
Everyone had the chance to have a look? Questions? Okay. I'm going to go for a mover,
Yes.
please. Councillor Denning moves. Councillor Statham seconds. All in favour? That's carried. Businesses arising from minutes. Seeing none. So we go to staff reports. And we go to 8.1, which is fire. Welcome, Jeff. Fire Chief.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Your Worship and Council. Monthly staff report, activity report, I should say, for September. A couple of highlights in here. We have 2 new members join the West Lauren Station, Station 2 here in town. They've started attending department training. They'll be attending the recruit course through the fire school in January. Also, our submission for the year 2 of the fire protection grant was submitted with ventilated bunker gear rooms for each station is what our project is for this year. So we're pretty excited about that. We won't probably hear till December or January. On the status of that, we do expect to receive it. And lastly, it's not to include the report, but since the report was written, the chassis for our new tanker in West Lauren has arrived. So that the truck still has to be obviously built on the chassis. We expect that it's a little early to say, but probably late winter, early spring at this point. But the chassis has arrived. So happy to answer any questions.
Good, thank you. Questions, anyone? Yes, Councillor Denny.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, through the chair. Thank you, Jeff. I was curious, the ventilated bunker room, the purpose of that?
Yeah, sure. To the chair, to Councillor Denning. So the grant, just I guess to refresh council's memory, year 1 of the grant, we were able to do ventilated decon laundry rooms in each station. So the grant really focuses around cancer prevention, Section 21 guidelines, obviously the health and safety for firefighters. So that was the focus again for year 2. So one of the recommendations right from the firefighters cancer prevention list is separation of the bunker gear from the apparatus floor. Based on a few factors, diesel fumes in the apparatus bay is one of them. We've made some improvements with existing ventilation in both stations over the past couple of years to help with that to help with those diesel fumes in the hull. But one of the recommendations is specifically about creating a separation to get that bunker gear. And most fire stations for decades and decades, the bunker gear was on the floor, right with the trucks, behind the trucks. But that thought process has changed, and we've got the opportunity to put some funding towards that in each station.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Further questions? Seeing none, could I have the recommendation, please?
The recommendation is that West Elgin Council hereby receives the monthly fire report for September 2025 from Jeff MacArthur, Fire Chief, for information purposes.
Mover, please. Councillor Sousa, seconded. Councillor Statham, all in favour? That's carried, thank you. And we go to 8.1.2, letter of support.
Sure, thank you again. So just looking for council's approval for, our staff was approached by the West Lauren Legion about their upcoming Trillium grant application. I believe this has been in the works for them for a while to upgrade their current facilities, which they're already listed in the emergency response plan. So it's consistent with benefiting the municipality as a whole. So just looking for approval to issue a letter of support.
Okay. Questions by council? Seeing none, could I go straight to the recommendation on that one, please?
The recommendation is that West Elgin Council approve staff issuing a letter of support to the West Lauren Legion for a Trillium grant.
Mover, please. Councillor Denny. Seconded. Councillor Statham. All in favour? Pass. Okay, we'll go to 8.1.3, 2025-26 budget request. It's over to you again, please.
Thank you again, Your Worship and Council. So this budget request stems back from a community risk assessment, so a requirement under the Ontario reg there. This was, as I included in the report, this was funding that was included and approved in the 2024 budget. We did not complete that project. The intent was to include it in the 2025 budget. However, apologies, as that was, we just recently realized that was not included as intended. So just looking for approval it is the project, if approved, we would start it soon, probably this fall. Probably don't expect the funds to be required until 2026, but just wanted council's approval to move ahead on that.
Okay, thank you. Questions by council? Council Statham, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. I just want to confirm, and I think I know the answer, but just for anybody that's listening at home, this community risk assessment is mandatory under the Ontario Regulation 378-18. Is that correct? It's mandatory?
It is correct, and through the chair to Councillor Statham. Sorry, I should have clarified a little bit. So it is one of the, going back a couple years now, it was one of the, actually certification, firefighter certification. The timing was similar to this requirement coming in. So it is mandatory, yes, for the municipalities. So I don't recall the exact conversation in 2024 about including in the budget, but yeah, it is a requirement. So, and there will be benefit, it talks about there, obviously, I viewed a few or several other risk assessments of other communities, and it will benefit the department and the municipality, just identifying some of our risks that we may or may not need to assess going forward. So
Thank you, Chief. And just to follow up, the reason it was not included in the 2025 budget is an omission?
correct. Yeah, it's and that I'll admit it. I didn't realize it was omitted till just, I guess, it just recently. So yeah, it was just omitted out of there. So our apologies on that.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Further questions? Seeing none. Recommendation, please.
The recommendation is that West Elgin Council hereby receives the report from Jeff MacArthur, Fire Chief, and that West Elgin Council provide budget approval for the 2025-26 project identified within this report.
Mover, please. Councillor Statham, seconded. Deputy Mayor Tellier, all in favour? That's carried. And we go to 8.2, municipal drains, the Fluren Drain Extension, tender results. Please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I will present this one today on behalf of our drainage superintendent. He did the tender for the Fluren Drain Extension. There were multiple received, with the lowest being from McNally Excavating Limited. And there is no concerns from the drainage superintendent to proceed with McNally. So was there any questions or concerns for the Fluren Drain Extension tender?
Seeing none, could I have the recommendation, please?
The recommendation is that West Elgin Council hereby receives the report from Terry Toshchuk, clerk, regarding tender results, Fluren Drain Extension, and that council approves the low tender submission from McNally Excavating Limited for the Fluren Drain Extension in the amount of $60,970, HST included.
Mover, please. Councillor Statham. Seconded. Councillor Sousa. All in favour? It's carried. Thank you. 8.3. We go to operations, which is Rodney Park. And it's Dave Sharon, Manager, Infrastructure and Development. Over to you, David, please.
Thank you very much. I'm pleased to announce the hard work from the Rodney Park Revitalization Group and the Rodney Accessible Park Committee that put together this great project that I was able to help them with the RFP for. The RFP came through with our grant from the Trillium Fund of $200,000 that was announced, and the community fundraising of $150,000, which is terrific from the community. I was very impressed. And the RFP went out and was voted upon with the group to use the New World Park Solutions with a budget up to $350,000, including tax. And I'd like to really happy that this went through. It's a really hard work from the committee. So.
Yes, you got that right. Any questions from council? That's got to be good news, right? Okay, so we'll go on from there. Please.
The recommendation is that West Elgin Council hereby receives the report from Dave Sharon, Manager of Infrastructure and Development, and that West Elgin Council award the RFP for the design and construction of the playground equipment at Rodney Park to New World Park Solution with a budget up to $350,000, including HST.
Mover, please. Councillor Sousa, seconded. Deputy Mayor Tellier, all in favour? That's carried. Thank you. Community Service and Clerks. Meeting dates, structures for 2026.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through the chair, this report has been presented to council. And I'll go through some of the highlights of the report before we open for discussion. So as per our procedural bylaw, it is that we do have to post the calendar for the following year for council meetings by December 31st at the latest. We do hold our meetings typically. It is the second and fourth Thursday of the month, apart from July, August, and December when we only hold one meeting a month. Important thing to mention is that 2026 is an election year, so you'll see things a little bit different in more so towards the end of the year in November. So this report here is recommending a little bit different format of adding committee of a whole back into our structure. In 2023, it was removed from the procedural bylaw. At the time, council felt there was just too many meetings and it was presenting challenges for work-life balance, so it was removed. But recent discussions in council meetings have certainly shown that council could benefit from the committee of a whole. Committee of whole opens up more open dialogue for council to discuss the reports, to debate. And as you'll see that from the chart that has been added to the report as well. It also gives council an opportunity to refer items back to a committee of a whole too, if they feel that there's not enough information provided, need some more clarification. Council has also indicated that there is a greater need for public participation. However, our strict nature of council meetings does not allow for public participation. That's not the concept of a council meeting. So consideration of also adding in public town hall meetings would allow for that public participation. So you'll see in the chart that has been given, and I'll just go through it for those listening, and then of course for anyone listening as of tomorrow for the recording. Council meetings, they do have high formality. It is to conduct official business. The decisions made at council are final binding decisions, and amendments on the fly during council meetings can be problematic and provide for room for error. Strict rules of order are either by the procedural bylaw or Robert's Rules of Order. And then issues are voted on and recommendations and bylaws are passed. Committee of a whole, there is lower formality to allow for detailed informal discussion and exploration of options. It allows for refinement to policy prior to providing a final vote by council. The concept is to discuss, debate, and refine the issues before council, and then a recommendation that's made in committee of a whole is recommending to then go forward to the council meeting for approval. So committee of a whole is not approving the decision that is made before you, but recommending to go to council for the approval. Amendments that are made in committee of a whole are presented to staff to investigate and bring back for final approval. It does still follow procedural bylaws or Robert's Rule of Order, but it is less formal and allows for more questions and more debate between council. It is used as a preparatory step, providing an avenue for consideration before final decision of council. And then also having a town hall option as well. Would be, again, lower formality. Meetings are organized, but they're going to be around a specific topic. So it is to engage with the public on a specific topic or two, whichever that meeting is about. The meeting structure allows for public comments and deputations, and then it's also used as a prep step for providing an avenue for public engagement. So as you'll see on the final page of my report, I have laid out a proposed structure for our meeting schedule for the year of 2026. Still having meetings on the second and the fourth Thursday of the month. The first one of the month being as a committee of a whole or town hall, either or. Again, the town hall would be on specific subjects. So if there's a hot topic out there that we want to get that public engagement on, these would be the meetings that we would do that. And then we would still host our formal council meetings on the fourth Thursday of the month. The idea with the committee of a whole too is that anything that needed to be discussed has already been done in the committee of a whole, so that council meetings they will run smooth. The decisions have really already been made. It is just the final binding decision will then be done at the council meeting. And then you'll also see that our inaugural meeting is in there as well in November, after our new term of council starts. So if council has any questions or concerns, I'd be happy to answer.
Questions from anyone?
Thank you. One also important thing to mention is the option is always there to put in a special meeting if a secondary council meeting or committee of a whole is needed. We can always have a special meeting at the call of the chair.
Yeah. Councillor Statham.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Madam Clerk. I think this is great. I'm a huge supporter of increasing community involvement with council. I think this is fantastic. Just to be clear, so what we're doing is we're replacing one of the council meetings every month with either a town hall or a committee of the whole.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. So
That
the
makes
first
sense.
meeting of the month would be that second Thursday of the month would be then that committee of a whole. So that just allows for more open discussion where the council meeting will still be to give the final binding results.
Perfect.
Yeah.
The only concern that I would have is if we're going to try to increase community involvement, I just wonder, do we have enough room in this space to accommodate if we have a committee of the whole or we have a town hall meeting? That would be something that maybe staff could look into where we would be able to host those meetings, because I'm not sure that the space would be adequate for that.
Correct. I think if we did the town hall, we would go look at the rec center again, look at some options for hosting much more people than what we can put in this room.
Yeah, the rec center
Yeah.
is great. I love the fact that we have that space. It's just that the acoustics in there
I know.
are so bad.
I know.
So and I think everybody's aware of that, but maybe it's just something that staff could look into. I would appreciate that.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yep.
If I could,
Yes.
Mr. Mayor, just for clarification around sort of the committee of the whole really is more for open discussion amongst council. But the town hall provides more conversation with community members. So that's why both options are being provided.
I think it's great. I think it's a great idea. I think it's great. Thank you.
Yes. Councillor Sousa.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, just sure I'm making sure I didn't miss this. Is it still recorded?
Absolutely.
Thank you. I think it's a great idea.
Okay. Yes, Deputy Mayor Tellier, please.
Through the chair, I'm just wondering, I think it's a great idea. I think it will flow well and everything. I'm just worried about if we have an entire month till we deal with something on council that needs to be dealt with. And it's not, we don't have availability for all of council to attend if we have an emergency or an added council meeting. That's my only concern with it. But other than that, I appreciate your report. I think it's a great idea. And yeah, we can look at other options of where to have a town hall that the acoustics aren't so difficult. I hope you can understand what I'm saying.
Okay, thank you for that. Yes, please.
Mr. Mayor, with the committee of a whole on the first meeting of the month, there is the option, Mr. Sharon also brought up the concern about workflow and making sure that we are doing things in a timely manner. There's always the option to add on a meeting there. So if there are timely issues, we can do a joint meeting and go into a regular meeting to address those if we're finding that's an issue.
Yeah, I agree with that. The county tends to go that way.
It'll certainly be a work in progress, and we'll work together to.
Time to think,
Fine,
and we got lots of time for answers and questions.
That's right.
Thank you. Can I have the recommendation, please?
The recommendation is that West Elgin Council hereby receives the report from Terry Toshchuk, Manager of Community Services Clerk, regarding 2026 regular council meeting dates and format, and that West Elgin Council approves the 2026 council meeting schedule for regular and committee of the whole meetings, and that council directs staff to prepare and finalize a full 2026 meeting schedule including committee and board meetings for approval prior to December 31st, 2025.
Mover, please. Councillor Sousa, seconded. Deputy Mayor Tellier, all in favour? That's carried. We're going to now go for a 5-minute break.
Now you can.
Yes, don't forget that.
We'll continue on. We'll go to 9, committee and board reports or updates. Number 10, notice of motion. Pardon? Nothing. Council inquiries, announcements. Yes, Deputy Mayor Tellier.
Through the chair, good evening. Just wondering if we can send a note from the municipality to the Middlesex Hospital Alliance 4 counties and the recent tragic death of Dr. Argon Elijah, who was unfortunately hit on a head-on collision on the 21st.
Oh,
He
no.
served many of the people of our area in the ER, and also some of them had him as a doctor in the area. So I'm wondering if we can send something to staff from our staff in our municipality.
Wow. I'm shocked. Because that's
Yeah.
somebody that saved my life.
Yeah, and many people, and I just thought it'd be a nice, small but kind gesture to just send a note or something to the staff there. I'm sure they're quite rocked.
Absolutely. We'll be on to that as soon as we possibly can. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, if I could, Councillor Tellier, could you just put that in the form of a motion, please? Thank you.
I guess my motion is to put a letter of condolences to the Middlesex Hospital Alliance 4 counties unit in the recent passing of Dr. Argon Elijah, AGRONALIJA, and our condolences to him and his colleagues.
Okay. Moved by motion by Deputy Mayor Tellier, seconded by Councillor Denning. All in favour? That's carried. Thank you for that. Okay, so where do we go now? Oh, there's a letter of thanks there. What?
Just before we move on, was there any other councillor inquiries or announcements? Okay. And now it's
Okay, correspondence. Correspondence?
Yep, there's 2 items there for under correspondence. There's a letter of thanks from the 4 Counties Health Services Foundation for the donation, and then an Elgin County letter of no appeals. Does any member of council want to pull either item for discussion? The recommendation is that West Elgin Council hereby receive and file all correspondence not otherwise dealt with.
Mover, please. Councillor Statham. Seconded. Councillor Sousa. All in favour? Yeah, I apologise. I'm just a little taken back. We go to 13, which is items requiring council consideration. Councillor Sousa, live stream access for public participation. Over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor, council and staff, I am bringing forth this motion today because I believe live streaming for council meetings is an important step forward, increasing transparency, accessibility, and public engagement in our local government. Many residents are unable to attend meetings in person due to work schedules, family responsibilities, health limitation, or transportation challenges. Providing a live feed ensures that all members of our community have equal opportunity to stay informed and engage with the decisions that affect them. A live stream allows residents to watch discussions in real time, fostering trust and accountability between council and the public. It also engages greater civic involvement as residents can see firsthand how topics are debated and decisions are made. Ultimately, live streaming helps bridge the gap between council chambers and the community, ensuring openness, inclusion, and a stronger connection with the people we serve. Going forward, I firmly believe this is the decision that is doing right for the people of West Elgin. It is my hope today that the rest of council agrees with this motion, and I would like to ask to put this motion to a recorded vote. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Questions by council? Yes. Councillor Denning.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, through the chair, and Councillor Sousa, thank you for bringing forth this motion. So as I recall, the reason we originally went to live stream was, of course, because of the pandemic, and that continued on. We had some staffing changeover, and the reason we removed the live stream was there was concerns from staff that they were afraid that they might make a mistake during the live stream, which is irreversible. Example being going from an open meeting to a closed meeting and then back to an open, just wanting to not have the anxiety of making a mistake. Now, of course, Madam Clerk here has expanded her knowledge and her ability, and she's a fantastic superstar. However, my concern is, let's say she's not here someday and somebody's filling in for her. Will that same anxiety continue to exist for a staff member who's stepping in? So that was the reason why we took it away and went to the recorded council meeting and then the upload of it the next day or the day after. So I guess my question is not so much to you. I respect your motion, but back to the staff. Has anything changed from your perspective, municipal team, that would make your team comfortable with this change? And that is my question before deciding which way I want to go on this.
Yes.
And through the chair. So when we I can use when we did the budget deliberations, for example, that it went well, it went seamlessly. The one thing that I not sure at the moment how we will get around will be closed sessions, because when we go into close, I am pausing and I am turning off video and audio for the Zoom. So if a member of council, like tonight, Deputy Mayor Tellier is on that screen, she's on Zoom. How would we get around that? That council member then would not be part of that Zoom participation. There's certainly other items that I could look into, other avenues that we could look into, possibly setting up a different link through a Teams, but that I'd have to bring all those options back. Full transparency, I am not an IT person. I don't know the in and out workings of Zoom. I don't. So I don't, from my experience with it, once I shut that Zoom down, it automatically does its thing and it converts. So I don't know if I can then open up another one, have that one going. Then you'll run into the challenges of having separate videos. Again, they're all kind of minor things. But again, until I look into the inner workings of Zoom, I don't have fully the answers on how that would work.
Councillor Tellier, please. Deputy Mayor, sorry.
Thank you, and through the chair. Those are all really good questions. Thank you for your motion, Councillor Sousa. My recollection is also it's difficult to concentrate in your job when there's lots of questions going on the side during Zoom. Is there a way to turn that off so you can just concentrate on what's in front of you work-wise?
Absolutely. So again, when we did those the budget meetings by Zoom, I had everything turned off in the background. Nobody could comment on it, which I know some people wanted. But commenting was turned off. They were not able to turn on their microphones and they were not able to turn on their video. So it'd be just like if you were attending a webinar and they disable all those functions, I had those disabled. Side note as well, anything that comes through email wise or anything like that, I will not be answering it. Because my focus.
Yeah, you need to concentrate on what's
My
focused in
focus,
front of you
yes,
for your
correct.
job.
When we're in the council meeting is to record the minutes of council.
And then later at that time, if you need to answer it, great. And that's the way to professionally handle that. And thank you for that. So we're not saying no transparency and people can't ask questions. It's just while we're in the business of a council meeting via Zoom, it's not the time for you to be going back and forth and answering questions or us ourselves either. I just wanted to make that clear. So, yeah. I think that's all the questions I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, please.
Councillor Tellier, and thank you, Mr. Mayor. Much like if we were to have persons in the live gallery, there are rules of engagement of how those in the live gallery, they're there for viewing purposes only. So it would be inappropriate for someone who is online viewing to be emailing and sending questions. That's not appropriate means of communication. So it still needs to follow the rules of order for a meeting.
Yeah, I'm just going to say one word. Deputy Mayor Tellier first.
Oh, through the chair, thank you for that. I realize that there's decorum and there are rules and what we need to follow. Some people disregard those rules and do not follow them. And they distract our staff from the task at hand. We have been privy to that, unfortunately, in the past. So that's where I was getting at. We've had people yell out at our meetings. We've had people email us, all of us constantly during our meetings when they've been live before. So it's very distracting. Kind of save your questions and ask later is a great, professional way to handle that. But people do not do that, it seems. But thank you for that.
Okay, thank you. That's all I was going to say. And I have known it, getting emails in a meeting, even with people sitting in the audience. And what they're trying to do is influence somebody's idea, and that's not a good idea. So, for that reason, we know very well it's a recording and they're going to get it the next day. So I can't really see what's wrong with that. I mean, if they want to come into the council meeting, they're welcome. You've seen odd things that's been important to the public, and we've had it full, this place. So I think they should be, it's no benefit to anybody to listen to it live. Because they're seeing the same thing the next day. And that's my speak on it. Yes, Councillor Seuss.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Statham.
It's okay. I guess I had one comment with respect to the emails and to the text messages and so on and so forth. I mean, I personally, when I'm in a council meeting, I have my phone on Do Not Disturb and my inbox is closed. So, in front of me, I have the agenda, and that's it. So, I think everybody has the ability to do that. So I'm not really sure that I see that as it's easy to ignore an email. I do it all day long. The second thing that I would suggest, just an idea, but I believe, if I'm not mistaken, there are other municipalities that offer live streaming. Councillor Sousa, we were talking about this earlier. There are other municipalities. You were saying the County of Elgin, I think.
Correct. I mean, I watch Elgin County. I've seen Richard on live not too long ago, and they have their council meeting live on Facebook.
So I guess to that point, Madam Clerk, I would suggest if it's difficult to figure out how to navigate those waters, maybe we could reach out to some of those other municipalities and see how they do it. It would be my thought, but I don't see really a downside in having it live streamed, other than the technical implications of doing it. And if we can do it correctly, then without undue an undue burden on staff. I think it's a great idea. So thank you very much.
Yeah, just one more point, and this did happen to me personally. The thing is, if it goes out live, and just say we're in a closed meeting, and we were talking about Deputy Mayor Tellier, and she's in our meeting now, and I'd like to see her in the closed meeting too. But you know, if somebody that comes in doesn't know how to operate that thing properly, you can hear that closed meeting from the outside. And that is a dangerous thing to have happen. And I know for a fact that it's happened once.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I agree with you. I think having members of the public in closed meetings is a break of decorum, but I think there must be, given the technology that we have available to us, there must be safeguards that are available to prevent that from happening. So I think we could avoid that if done correctly. That's why I suggest maybe we reach out to other municipalities and see how they operate those meetings and have them live streamed. I'm sure the county would know how to stop that from happening. So
If I might, Mr. Mayor, I believe although the county recently changed its procedural bylaw, but the previous procedural bylaw is that councils could only attend closed in person. They did not provide for online closed sessions. So if you were attending via Zoom, you would not be a participant in the closed session.
understood. Thanks, Robin.
Okay. Any further questions, answers? I'm seeing none. So we have a mover, Councillor Sousa. And do we have a seconder? Councillor Statham.
And now I'm going to call for a recorded vote. Deputy Mayor Tellier,
No.
Councillor Statham,
Yes.
Mayor Leatham,
No.
Councillor Denning,
Yes.
Councillor Sousa.
Yes.
That is carried, Mr. Mayor.
Carried. Okay, so we move on to 13.2. Royal Canadian Legion Remembrance Day request.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So this letter was received, and this is something that is received annually from our local Legion, just for a few items that they request annually, being the sound system and seating for Remembrance Day ceremonies. One being held on November 9th at the Rodney Library at 1:00 p.m. And then again on November 11th at the West Lorne Cenotaph at 11:00 a.m. And secondary there is the Poppy project that they initiated. I believe it was last year. However, last year we didn't get the request into council soon enough to have the display hang out on our tree outside of the complex. So that is another request that in collaboration with our Parks and Recreation staff, if council would give the blessing to hang their I believe it's a big mesh, and then they've got the hand knitted poppies all attached to that they will be putting on the tree. And then the third item that they have requested is a donation to the Royal Canadian Legion Poppy Fund. And I have confirmed that last year a donation of $100 was made. There is room in the community grants program if council wishes to do a second donation. I wasn't able to find anything prior to 2024, so perhaps that wasn't done, but I can confirm that last year council made a donation of $100. Is that something that council would like to do again this year? Stick with $100?
Anybody like to talk on that? Councillor Sousa.
So just going back to the sound system. If it rains outside, do they have a cover, like a cover for the sound system? I don't know if it's waterproof if it's going outside. I mean, we want to make sure we protect that sound system.
That I can't answer. We will check. Yes, councillor Denny.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, through the chair. I think I can speak to it. Been to enough of them. The answer is no, they don't. But I think that it would be fair to communicate to our friends and neighbors at the Legion that if they could prepare for that eventuality. They do bring a stake truck that they have the wreaths in. So I think that maybe just with a little bit of encouragement, they could certainly put the sound system into the stake truck and make that a double advantage.
Yeah, good move.
Mhm.
Yes, please.
The recommendation is that
Oh,
West.
wait a minute. I've got Deputy Mayor Tellier. I see a hand up.
Thank you for that. Through the chair, just to let you know, on Canada Day, the sound system did not work. We used the DJ sound system. So I had passed that along to Lee at the time, and Jennifer was there. So I guess you used it at Roots and Revival and it was fine though? Okay. So maybe it was just humid that day. I don't know. But I'm just letting you know. Passing that along. Thank you.
Can I add?
Thank you. Yes.
It is going to be used this weekend. So I can confirm after this weekend if there was any issues with it. So thank you for letting us know that.
Okay, thank you.
If I might, that's the same sound system we use for our recent town hall, or the West Elgin Health Center used for town hall. It's also been used for council's special meeting. So I think since that time, the sound system's been up and active, but we can certainly ask Dan to double check concerns.
Thank you. Okay,
Am I good now? Want me to read it?
I think, yes, please. Recommendation, please.
The recommendation is that West Elgin Council hereby receive the annual request from Royal Canadian Legion Branch 221 West Elgin, and that council hereby approve the use of sound system and seating for the Remembrance Day ceremonies on November 9th, 2025, Rodney Library, 1:00 p.m., and November 11th, 2025, West Lorne Cenotaph, 11:00 a.m., and that council hereby approve the request to display the poppy project display of knitted poppies on the large evergreen tree located at 160 Main Street, West Lorne Community Complex, with installation in collaboration with the Parks and Recreation Department. And further, that council hereby approve a donation of $100 to the Royal Canadian Legion Branch 221 Poppy Fund.
Yeah, move please. Councillor Sousa. Deputy Mayor, Deputy Mayor. Councillor Statham, all in favour? That's carried, thank you. Okay, we go to 13.3, Roma 2026 delegation request. Has anyone got any requests?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So council, I'd like to start moving council in a direction of understanding, starting having conversations around sort of concerns and issues of the community that you hear, and certain concerns that you would like to be used for government relations, and that being with upper levels of government. When we submit requests, we need to understand sort of the topic of interest, and it also helps for that topic to actually be built out so that one, we know which ministry we are applying to. It's just not a general, we'd like to have a delegation. We need to be able to direct it to the particular ministry. And having that delegation actually drafted and built out also helps to move your name sort of forward and whom you may be able to speak to. Otherwise, you do risk always speaking to sort of associate or assistants to the minister, as opposed to having the minister or deputy minister themselves. So with that, it's a conversation knowing that Roma is coming up, to understand, and that Roma delegations are now being opened, to understand from council issues and concerns that we can possibly go back and start to build something out on in order to put forward an application. Previously, we have gone last year to Roma regarding infrastructure, making sure that the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing and Infrastructure, I believe it was Minister of Infrastructure, MOI, really understood that the narrative of municipalities, in particular that narrative for small municipalities, is not the same as large municipalities. Our concerns are different. The access to funding is different. And taking a big brush across municipality that there are large reserves and pockets of municipalities does not hold true. And so that message has recently been delivered. At AMO, Councillor Statham presented to the Minister of Rural Affairs and the Minister of Agriculture, now two separate ministries, on the voice of the small farmer, making sure that that voice is heard, and understanding concerns that we need to have access to education for succession planning, that we further need to be looking at, now I have to remember what you spoke about, Councillor Statham, sort of the voice of making sure that dollars are putting towards infrastructure for the processing of foods and access to that processing facilities of our small farms, and continuously promoting that small farmers' needs. And so council, either of those can go, but you've spoken to them. Though it was only Councillor Statham, myself as staffing support, there could be benefit in trying to return, but calling out to our neighbors to come with you to show that you actually have a groundswell of support would be a viable option, I think. But councillor, if there's any other conversations that you would like to us to like starting to research and develop and engage upon, this is a time to maybe give us some direction.
Yes. Councillor Statham.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor and Madam CAO. I would very much like to continue to provide support to our farming communities. I think we are a agricultural community. I think it's where our roots lie, and I think it's really important that we support small farms. So I would like to proceed forward with the delegation request in that vein. I did have one other topic that I wanted to put to council, and that is access to mental health and addiction treatment in our community. I know rural municipalities tend to not get the same support that may be available in larger municipalities and cities where there's larger populations. And I think rural Ontario in particular is often overlooked when it comes to support for mental health and addiction. And I think that it's something that I think affects all of us in one way or another. So that is another idea that I had when I saw this on the agenda. So those are the two topics that I think are important. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for that. Deputy Mayor Tellier, did you have something?
Thank you, and through the chair, thank you to our CAO and to Councillor Statham for that. I was along the same lines. We do have, I'll send it to you, Councillor Statham, but there is something specific through the Ontario government that they've just announced, I want to say earlier this year. I have it on my council page in regards to specific farming families and mental health and exactly the resources they can get in their area, in their rural areas. And it's absolutely an amazing resource for rural families, especially families, farming families. So I'll try to get that to you as well. But I agree. I had down some funding to attract a physician or a nurse practitioner to the area. We had some heated discussions at our neighboring community in Dutton Dunwich earlier this year, I want to say this spring, about their doctors, how much longer will they be there at that clinic? Could we work together with that neighboring partner? Could we work together with the health center? What does that look like? Also, 2 years ago, we had a big discussion about the Heritage Homes extension. I want to say it's 2.5 years ago. It was myself and I believe the Mayor Leatham, that presented that information, looking to see exactly what that would look like. Could we have support with that? Because we have plans, we have a name for it, we have everything in place except for good old cash. And then I know that myself, Councillor Denning and Mayor Leatham spoke in 2025 about water infrastructure for mainly the village of West Lorne. So I'm just looking exactly, is that too soon to discuss that? What is your opinion on that from staff? Because it's obviously still a concern from residents and what we could look at. So those were my three I had down when I saw that this was on the agenda here. So anybody have anything else, that would be great. Thank you.
Yes, please.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Tellier. I will certainly reach out to our county counterparts around the health and physician attraction. I believe at the county level, they do have a committee set up. dealing with health and health issues. So I'll reach out to see if the county is providing a delegation on that and whether we then can piggyback and give support to it as opposed to two separate. I'd follow up with you around the heritage homes for the information, but what I'm hearing from you is that you were looking for infrastructure dollars in order to support the development of?
Correct.
Okay, and then the water and infrastructure, council, I recently was having some conversations with some of our neighboring municipalities. And one of the approaches they are taking is not necessarily to ask for more infrastructure dollars, though we do need them in small communities, but also taking a bit of a pitch at dealing with infrastructure is a municipal issue. That's what we do, is we look after our water and our wastewater. However, the challenges are it's becoming that much more of a challenge for us to be able to fund those core things that municipalities traditionally have done, because we now are taking on additional services such as physician attraction, such as mental health, such as dealing with homelessness. And those are issues that the province needs to upload and take a greater responsibility to, and take it off the backs of the municipality, so the municipality can then focus and direct its finances. I don't know if you wish me to get maybe their argument, so council could read that. That may be an interest of council then to support that municipality in their goal of conversation, which is to saying, we recognize our contribution, but we'd also like the province to recognize we are over contributing and need the province to take back and take greater responsibility in these major issues.
Yes, thank you. Councillor Denning.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and through the chair. Just to kind of dovetail into what Robin has spoken about. Earlier this year, a municipality in Northern Ontario just about went broke due to the fact that they were servicing so much debt from a water treatment plant that the provincial government essentially required them to put into place. Small communities like this one in Northern Ontario are not much different than we are. We cannot take advantage of the economy of scale that a larger municipality can, and yet we are still held to the same standards when it comes to water treatment and sewage treatment. I think that it's important for the province to be aware of the struggles that small municipalities like West Elgin will continue to have. We're in a very good place, as our financial auditor pointed out, that we are one of the few municipalities that are not in debt right now. But how long will that last when we continue to be obligated to meet these high standards in communities such as ours that are 5,000 people versus other communities that have 400,000 people that take advantage of a larger tax base? Roma is the advocate for the Rural Ontario Municipal Association. That's what it is. I think that all municipalities that are part of Roma likely can feel the same concern and pain that we do. And I think that that would be something that the province needs to hear over and over and over again, is if they want us to continue to be good partners and provide these infrastructure projects to their standards, that they need to step up and continue to assist us as much as they can and more.
Yes, I agree entirely. I think we came up with some actually good things there. Councillor Sousa.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. What about tougher penalties for repeat offenders? I mean, we have issues with crime in our area, and people just get out on bail, do the same crime over and over again, and they're back out 48 hours, they're back on the streets again. That's another one that's I find is concerning in our community, because I know a few instances where same person is back out in the streets.
Unfortunately, that's happening all over. I see it all the time. And you say, why did they lose them out now that it's worse? Yeah. And that's another good point. So we got lots of things to aim at. If we can concentrate them down to a few, and then really go to town on those. We're fairly strong at Roma, so I think we'll be able to do a good job. Thank you. And we go with that to 14, which takes us into a closed session.
That the Council of the Municipality of West Elgin hereby proceeds into closed session at 5:47 PM to discuss matters pursuant to the Municipal Act, Section 239 2K, being a position, plan, procedure, criteria, or instruction to be applied to any negotiations carried on or to be carried on by or on behalf of the municipality or local board, being centralized planning services contract. Section 239 2E, being litigation or potential litigation, including matters before administrative tribunals affecting the municipality or local board, Port Glasgow Yacht Club.
Okay. Mover, please. Councillor Sousa. Seconded. Councillor Deputy Mayor Tellier. All in favour? That's carried. Okay. We're reporting from the closed session and the clerk to provide a report.
Reporting from closed session at 6:18 PM. West Elgin Council received 2 items pursuant to Section 239-2 of the Municipal Act and received the following recommendation. That West Elgin Council hereby receives the report, Centralized Planning Services Contract with the County of Elgin from Robin Greenall, CAO, and that West Elgin Council approves the recommendation to contract its planning services with County of Elgin.
And we need a mover for that. Councillor Sousa. Sorry, Councillor Statham.
Statham over on this side.
Okay. And seconded by Councillor Sousa. All in favour? That's carried. And that, does that take us to the confirming bylaw?
Sure does.
Okay.
That bylaw 2025-60, being a bylaw to confirm the proceeding of the regular meeting of council held on October 23rd, 2025, be read a first, second, third, and final time.
Mover, please. Councillor Sousa. Seconded. Councillor Statham. All in favour? That's carried. And that takes us to adjournment.
That the Council of the Municipality of West Elgin hereby adjourn at 6:20 PM to meet again at 4:00 PM on Thursday, November 13th, 2025, or at the call of the chair.
Mover, please. Deputy Mayor Tellier. Seconded. Councillor Sousa. All in favour? Thank you. That's passed.
Have a good night.